$500 billion. That's the sheer unbelievable scale of the capital being mobilized in a historic new infrastructure deal right now. And it is about to completely rewrite the rules of the entire tech industry.
$65,800. That is the August 2026 peak for Bitcoin, proving the flagship crypto is roaring right back to life even amidst a really turbulent macroeconomic storm.
89.25%. A staggering, honestly almost monopolistic dominance on the XRPL ecosystem by a single stablecoin. The numbers we're looking at today are absolute game changers.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're bringing you a fast-paced, data-driven look at the absolute bleeding edge of technology, finance, and gaming. We've got massive leaks, historic partnerships, and market paradoxes that you absolutely need to understand right now. Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. NVIDIA's half-trillion deal and Wall Street's AI play. So we're starting with what is arguably the biggest deal of the century. NVIDIA just announced this breathtaking partnership with 6 global financial giants to build what they're calling AI factories. We're talking about $500 billion being deployed over time to establish these AI compute infrastructure financing platforms. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive paradigm shift we are witnessing right now. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang actually hit the nail on the head. He said, "Chips are no longer just technology products. They're investable assets." I mean, think about commercial real estate, right? Toll roads or major bridges. That is exactly how Wall Street is now viewing AI computing power. Investors can literally purchase and borrow against AI infrastructure exactly like they would a skyscraper.
Just look at the absolute titans backing this whole shebang. Apollo, Blackstone, Brookfield, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, and KKR. These firms manage trillions of dollars. By structuring these independent financing platforms, almost like real estate investment trusts or REITs, they're solving a massive bottleneck. Startups and smaller companies that previously, couldn't even dream of affording hundreds of millions in upfront GPU costs will now be able to just lease that cutting-edge capacity. It fundamentally democratizes access to high-level compute resources.
Section 2. Crypto Market Pulse, looking at institutional shifts. Let's move to this and see how it builds on those massive financial moves. Right now, over in the XRP Ledger ecosystem, Ripple just minted a massive 811,000 new units of their RLUSD stablecoin. Because of that strategic push and a major partnership with Japan's SBI Group, RLUSD now commands a wild 89.25% dominance over the XRPL stablecoin pool. They've got an $888 million market cap out of a total $995 million supply. So they're completely taking over the network's volume, processing the lion's share of the $4.28 billion in transfers we've seen over the last 30 days.
But here's the really fascinating twist to all this, what we're calling the XRPL paradox. So while the network is seeing this explosive growth in institutional stablecoin transfers, the native XRP token itself is actually down 43.6% year-to-date. Why? Well, because stablecoin growth doesn't automatically translate to native token value. XRPL's amazingly low transaction fees mean very little XRP actually gets burned, and regular escrow releases just keep creating selling pressure. It's a brilliant case study, really, showing us that a thriving network ecosystem and a surging token price are absolutely not always the same thing.
Meanwhile, the undisputed king of crypto is having a stellar month. Bitcoin pushed all the way up to an August 2026 peak of $65,800, bringing its market cap back to a staggering $1.3 trillion. Now, this surge didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was heavily driven by a weak U.S. labor market report, which fueled expectations for Federal Reserve rate cuts, alongside a massive $854 million in Bitcoin ETF inflows over just 5 days. Add to that the fact that capital is heavily rotating out of altcoins and flowing straight back into Bitcoin, and you've got BTC dominance pushing up to 58.5%.
Section 3. Summer Gaming Updates, covering massive expansions and new elements. Shifting gears completely here, first up, Blizzard is unleashing Vessel of Hatred on October 8th. This is the very first major expansion for Diablo 4, taking players straight into the Nahantu jungle. But the real headline? It's the Spiritborn, the first entirely new class in the Diablo series in years. Players are going to harness 4 distinct Spirit Guardians. You've got the Jaguar for lightning-fast bleeding strikes, the Gorilla for massive defense and crowd control, the Eagle for precision range damage, and the Centipede for just devastating poison damage over time. It's a completely modular build system that is basically going to entirely disrupt the endgame meta for sure.
And jumping over into the gacha space, Hoyoverse just dropped version 3.1 of Zenless Zone Zero, titled The Long Goodbye, right on the game's second anniversary. The community is absolutely buzzing right now because they've introduced Remiel, a void hunter who brings the Lumaflux attribute to the game. This is a big deal. It's the very first brand new element added to Zenless Zone Zero in 2 solid years. So we're talking entirely new reaction mechanics and team composition strategies alongside a massive new permanent tactical assault endgame mode.
Section 4, iPhone 18 Pro specs, and Apple's first foldable.
All right, let's take a breath for a second. We need to talk about hardware, because luxury brand Caviar just leaked specs ahead of Apple's September 2026 event, and guys, it is industry-shattering. We now have the complete specs for the iPhone 18 Pro and the heavily rumored entirely new iPhone Ultra. So the crucial point is this first killer fact. The iPhone 18 Pro line will be powered by the A20 Pro chip. Built on a groundbreaking 2nm process, this isn't just some regular iterative update. It's literally the most powerful mobile chip in history, projected to increase energy efficiency by up to 30% compared to the previous generation. That is a massive leap forward in silicon engineering.
And killer fact number 2 builds right on top of that efficiency. Apple is packing in a massive 5100 to 5200 mAh battery. That is the largest battery ever put inside an iPhone. To accommodate a battery that big, without making the phone feel like a literal brick in your pocket, they're using a much lighter titanium body with just a slightly increased thickness. Combined with that super efficient 2nm chip, the battery life on these devices is going to be absolutely unprecedented. But here is the final killer fact, the one that's going to force Android competitors into a total scramble. Apple is finally releasing the iPhone Ultra, their very first foldable. It features a 5.3-inch external display, but when you open it up, you get a stunning 7.8-inch OLED screen running at 120 Hz. But the real game changer here? A newly engineered hinge mechanism that creates zero visible crease. Zero. Samsung has been fighting this exact issue for years. If Apple has truly solved the crease problem, they are going to push the foldable market straight from early adopters into the mainstream premium segment.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the staggering price tag. While a standard iPhone Ultra is expected to, easily push past the $2,000 mark, Caviar, the luxury brand that's actually responsible for this massive leak in the first place, is preparing their own customized ultra-premium versions of these phones. And the starting price for their luxury custom model? $10,060. Yep, it's a shocking number that really proves just how much of a luxury status symbol this specific form factor has become.
But look, beyond the crazy price and beyond the foldable screen, there's a massive engineering trade-off happening on the standard iPhone 18 Pro. The leak confirms that the dynamic island is getting significantly smaller because Apple is finally moving the Face ID technology entirely under the display. It looks incredible, truly seamless, but it leaves us with one massive lingering question. By layering pixels over their biometric sensors, will this new under-display design compromise Apple's absolute gold standard for facial security? I guess we'll just have to wait until September to find out.